Welcome to A Taste of Torah with Rabbi Carol. This week we are starting the second book of the Torah, which is called Shemot in Hebrew and Exodus in English. And if you will remember, this year we are looking at the first section of each weekly parsha. And the weekly parsha has 7 sections called Aliyot. One is called an Aliyah. And so this first Aliyah covers Shemot, Exodus chapter 1, verses 1 through 17. I want to read verses 6 through 14 for us and talk about this to encourage us with some things I think God would like to speak to us. So it says, Joseph died, as did all his brothers and all that generation. The descendants of Israel were fruitful, increased abundantly, multiplied, and grew very powerful. The land became filled with them. Now there arose a new king over Egypt. He knew nothing about Joseph, but said to his people, Look, the descendants of Israel have become a people too numerous and powerful for us. Come, let's use wisdom in dealing with them. Otherwise, they'll continue to multiply, and in the event of war, they might ally themselves with our enemies, fight against us, and leave the land altogether. A foreshadow of something to come, right? Verse 11. So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built for Pharaoh the storage cities of Pithom and Ramses. But the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more they multiplied and expanded until the Egyptians came to dread the people of Israel and worked them relentlessly, making their lives bitter with hard labor, digging clay, making bricks, all kinds of field work, and in all this toil, they were shown no mercy. So we know this chapter is setting the scene for what is about to take place. We know that God is going to send the deliverer Moses onto the scene, and he is going to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. And we will be discussing that in the weeks ahead. But I want us to focus on a few things in this Aliyah. At the beginning of verses 6 and 7 and 8, it talks about how the children of Israel prospered. They were growing and multiplying and becoming very powerful, so powerful that the king of Egypt took notice of them. This king didn't know anything of Joseph. He had no sense of duty towards the Jewish people, no sense of owing them anything, because he didn't know who Joseph was and what Joseph had done for him. And so he sees the Jewish people as a potential threat to his power and his authority. So we know what he does. He decides to deal with them and to make things hard for them. And that's exactly what the Egyptians did. But what happens in the midst of that oppression and of the Egyptians making them work hard and becoming their slaves? Did you catch what it said? It says, but the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more they multiplied and expanded until the Egyptians came to dread the people of Israel. Verse 12. I want to tell you that there are some spiritual truths and principles for us to glean from these verses as always. Again, this is applying to what happened historically in Egypt with the Israelites, but the principles apply to you and I today in 2023. The enemy of our soul, Hasatan, does not like us. He sees us as a threat to his purpose and his plans. No matter how weak you may feel, no matter how powerless you may feel, I want to tell you that in the eyes of your enemy, you are a powerhouse. He is afraid of you. He is afraid of what you can do to his plans to thwart the purpose of God, not only in your life, but in your family's life and in our world today. So what does the enemy of our soul do? Just like Pharaoh oppressed the Egyptians, the enemy of our soul, Hasatan, tries to oppress us. My husband and I went to visit several people in the hospital today from our congregation, and both of these people said to us, the enemy is not going to win. They recognized the enemy was coming against them because they had work to do for the kingdom of God. So no matter what is happening in our lives, no matter how oppressive the enemy is towards us, and how much pressure he puts on us, and how many obstacles he throws our way, or no matter how he tries to deter us or make our life miserable, I want to tell you that you and I can do just like the Israelites did. And what did verse 12 say? They continued to multiply and expand until the enemy came to dread them. I want you to get this vision in your head of Satan dreading who you are, because you are a child of God Most High. You are powerful and almighty, not because of who you are. It's not in me, but it's because of him who lives in me. God Most High, Yeshua the Messiah. He lives in me, and because of him, I am powerful. I am victorious, and the enemy will dread you and me because we walk not in our own authority, but in the authority of Yeshua the Messiah. So I want you to meditate upon that. I want you to think about that. I know a lot of us are going through stuff, sickness, pressures. Society is run amok still, and it can seem overwhelming. But this is the hour for you and I as men and women of God to rise up in the power and might of the Lord and to continue to multiply and expand and do damage against the kingdom of darkness. So God bless you. If you are here on Long Island, we hope you will join us this Saturday, January the 14th. We are starting a new series entitled Escape from the Matrix. So we hope you will be there. Our service starts at 11 o'clock. You can join us for Kesher Cafe, a cup of coffee, and fellowship at 10 a.m. And if you're not here on Long Island, then please come check us out on YouTube or Facebook. We will be streaming our service, and we hope you will join us. God bless you. Have a great week.